The massive crystalline dome of the Galactic Council stretched across 3 kilometers of artificial sky, its translucent walls pulsing with the nervous energy of 1,000 different alien species. Ancient hieroglyphs carved into the quantum crystalline structure told the story of galactic civilization, wars fought, peace treaties signed, and the rise and fall of empires across the stars. Today, those walls would witness history. Ambassador Vexthal of the Hegemony Coalition stood at the center of the great amphitheater, his 4 muscular arms spread wide in the traditional gesture of formal proclamation. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial suns, each segment inscribed with the battle honors of his ancestors. Behind him, the floating holographic seal of the hegemony rotated slowly, a symbol that had struck fear into hearts. Across 50 star systems, the assembled delegates fell silent. Representatives from the insectoid Krivak Empire clicked their mandibles nervously. The gaseous Nalari flickered in their containment suits, their plasma forms shifting between colors of anxiety and anticipation. Even the ancient Veltar beings, of pure crystalline thought, resonated with harmonic frequencies that spoke of long-awaited justice. Fellow beings of the galaxy, Vexthal's voice boomed through universal translators, we gather today to correct a mistake made by our ancestors 3 millennia ago. His primary arm gestured toward the massive holographic display that materialized above the assembly. Ancient documents appeared, the Terran Accord signed in the aftermath of humanity's last great war. The treaty that had ended the age of human expansion and brought peace to a terrified galaxy. For 3,000 years, we have honored this treaty. We allowed the humans to retreat to their small corner of space. We believed their promises of pacification. We thought them tamed. His voice rose, echoing off the crystalline walls. We were wrong. Murmurs rippled through the assembly like waves across a disturbed pond. The Krivak Queen's translator buzzed with approval. A Nalari elder's plasma form flared bright orange, their color of righteous anger. Recent intelligence suggests the humans are expanding again, Vexthal continued, his secondary arms manipulating holographic data streams. New colonies beyond their designated boundaries, mining operations in forbidden sectors. Worst of all, they are spreading their cultural contamination, their music, their literature, their dangerous concepts of individual freedom. The ancient Veltar delegate resonated a deep, thrumming note of concern. Among their species, individual thought was considered a mental disorder. The idea of humans spreading such concepts was truly terrifying. Therefore, Vexthal raised all 4 arms toward the artificial sky. By the authority vested in the Hegemony Coalition by this noble assembly, I hereby declare the Terran Accord null and void. The 3,000-year peace is over. We declare war upon the human species and all their works. The great dome erupted in sounds of approval, clicks, hisses, harmonic resonances, and plasma flares. War drums echoed from the Krivak section, while the Nalari began their ancient war songs, their gaseous forms dancing in patterns that spoke of coming victory. Meanwhile, 15,000 light-years away, Admiral Kim Hana sat in her favorite chair overlooking the Sol Orbital Command Center. The morning sun cast golden light through the transparent aluminum windows, illuminating her simple ceramic teacup, a family heirloom that had somehow survived 3 millennia of human progress. She was reading a fascinating report about new rice cultivation techniques on the agricultural worlds when the priority communication alert chimed softly. A small holographic display materialized beside her tea, showing the official seal of the Galactic Council. Hannah blinked at the formal document that appeared, her dark eyes scanning the ornate alien script that her neural implant translated automatically. As she read, her expression shifted from mild curiosity to growing amusement. "Jong-ho," she called to her aide, who was busy organizing shipping manifests for the monthly supply run to the outer colonies. "Come look at this." Lieutenant Commander Park Jong-ho hurried over, his pristine uniform contrasting with the casual atmosphere of the command center. Most Earth military installations felt more like university research departments than war rooms, a reflection of humanity's 3,000-year shift in priorities. "What is it, Admiral?" he asked, then paused. As he read the declaration, his eyebrows rose steadily higher with each paragraph. Are they serious? Hannah burst into laughter, nearly spilling her tea. Apparently we're at war again. Something about cultural contamination and unauthorized mining operations. She wiped tears from her eyes. Oh, and they're particularly upset about our music spreading to their colonies. Jong-ho shook his head in amazement. Should I alert Defense Command? Mobilize the fleet. What fleet? Hannah chuckled. Captain Lee's rice transport? The geological survey ships? Dr. Yu's research station? She waved a dismissive hand. No, send this to the Department of Historical Curiosities. Professor Kim's team handles these sorts of cultural artifacts. Cultural artifacts? Jong-ho, the last time anyone declared war on humanity, your great-great-grandmother wasn't even born yet. This is like receiving a challenge to single combat from someone wielding a bronze sword. Hannah took another sip of her tea. Make sure to flag it as non-urgent, and perhaps include a note suggesting they might want to review their intelligence. Sources? I think someone's been watching too many old historical dramas. As Jong-ho prepared the transfer request, neither of them noticed the small smile playing at the corners of Admiral Hannah's lips. The kind of smile that suggested perhaps humanity's response to this declaration might be more interesting than anyone expected. The Krivak homeworld pulsed with activity as massive breeding chambers deep beneath the planet's crust began their ancient work. Queen Zixara stood before towering biomechanical incubators, each one the size of a city block, watching as thousands of warrior larvae began their accelerated growth cycle. The chittering sounds of awakening insects filled the air as soldier casts that hadn't been seen for 3 millennia started taking shape. Behold the return of the Death Swarm caste, she declared to her generals, her compound eyes reflecting the eerie green glow of the breeding pools. Our ancestors used these warriors to conquer 12 star systems before the humans forced us into that cursed peace treaty. The newly emerging Krivak warriors were magnificent and terrifying, each one 3 meters tall with razor-sharp claws that could slice through starship hull plating. Their exoskeletons bore natural armor stronger than most alien battlesuits, and their minds were linked in perfect hive coordination that made them nearly unstoppable in combat. Meanwhile, in the Nilari home nebula, ancient stellar forges that had been dormant for centuries roared back to life. The gaseous beings channeled pure plasma through massive spaceborne foundries, shaping weapons of incredible power. Elder Nexthor supervised the construction of their greatest creation, plasma, cannons capable of turning entire moons into cosmic dust. The humans will learn why our ancestors called us the Starburners, he proclaimed, his plasma form shifting to brilliant white with anticipation. These weapons will make their pitiful worlds burn like miniature suns. The Veltar contributed their own preparations, crystalline war mines that could calculate battle strategies across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their living crystal ships began growing from asteroid belts, each vessel a work of art that was also a weapon of terrifying beauty. At the center of this galactic mobilization stood Fleet Admiral Zothmar, a veteran warrior whose battle scars told the story of 100 conquered worlds. His flagship, the Vengeance of Ages, was a massive dreadnought that stretched for 15 kilometers, a mobile fortress bristling with weapons that could crack continents. He stood before a gathering of 10,000 war chiefs, his voice echoing across the vast hangar bay that could hold entire fleets. Brothers and sisters of the galaxy, today we correct the greatest mistake in galactic history. For 3,000 years, we have allowed the human plague to fester in their corner of space. No more. The assembled crowd roared approval. Clicks from the Krivak, harmonic resonances from the Veltar, and plasma flares from the Nilari. War drums pounded rhythms that hadn't been heard since the ancient days of conquest. Our ancestors fought the humans when they were savage and warlike, Zothmar continued, his forearms gesturing dramatically. Now they have grown soft and peaceful. They have forgotten how to fight. Today, we will remind them why the galaxy once trembled at the mention of their name, and then we will make sure it never happens again. The largest armada in galactic history began assembling, millions of warships from dozens of species, all united in their determination to finally end the human threat, once and for all. Meanwhile, Captain Lee Min-ho stood in the cargo bay of his ship, staring at a shipping manifest that made absolutely no sense. The Busan Runner was a simple transport vessel, 40 years old, equipped with basic shields and engines designed for efficiency rather than speed. Her cargo holds were currently filled with rice from the agricultural worlds and consumer electronics from the manufacturing planets. "Admiral Hana," he said over the comm system, holding up the bewildering document. "Can you explain why my rice transport is now classified as a heavy battle cruiser? The Port Authority just assigned me a military escort, and Customs wants to inspect my weapon systems." Admiral Hana's voice came through the speaker, with barely suppressed laughter. "Because officially we're at war now, Min-ho. The Department of Military Affairs had to reclassify all civilian vessels as potential military assets." "But it's rice," Min-ho protested, gesturing at the innocent grain containers. "And maybe some gaming consoles for the colonists. How is that military equipment?" "Just keep doing your regular delivery runs," Hana advised. "If anyone official asks, tell them you're on reconnaissance patrol. The rice is, emergency rations for extended operations." Min-ho shook his head in bewilderment as he looked around his cargo bay. The most dangerous thing aboard was probably the espresso machine in the crew quarters. On the agricultural colony of New Jeju, Governor Choi Soo-jin was having her own surreal experience with the war declaration. She had been reviewing the quarterly harvest reports, an excellent season for kimchi vegetables and synthetic protein cultivation, when the emergency alert arrived. She read the message twice, then calmly reached for the evacuation protocol handbook. It was the same manual they used for typhoon season, asteroid storms, and the occasional solar flare emergency. "Attention all citizens of New Jeju," her voice echoed across the peaceful farming settlement through the public address system. "We have received notification of incoming galactic warfare. Please prepare for temporary relocation using standard evacuation procedures. Shuttle departures will begin in 30 minutes and continue every 20 minutes thereafter." She paused, consulting her notes. "Don't forget your personal items, identification chips, and any pets." The community center on New Busan has been prepared to receive evacuees, and they're serving that excellent seafood soup everyone enjoys. Across the colony, farmers looked up from their fields with mild confusion. The Kim family finished harvesting their radish crop before heading to the shuttle pad. The Park family made sure their automated irrigation systems were properly programmed before joining the orderly queue for evacuation. It was the most polite and organized response to a declaration of war in galactic history. Children played games while waiting for shuttles. Elderly colonists shared gossip about whose vegetables had grown best this season, and young couples treated the whole thing like an unexpected vacation opportunity. The automated farming systems continued their work undisturbed, robot harvesters moving through fields in perfect patterns, while the humans who built them calmly departed for safer worlds, treating galactic warfare like nothing more serious than bad weather. The massive alien. Armada tore through hyperspace like a storm of metal and fury. Millions of warships moving in perfect formation toward human territory. Fleet Admiral Zothmar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace give way to normal space as they dropped out near the first human system. "Prepare for glorious battle," he roared to his crew. "Today we face the legendary human war machine that once terrorized the galaxy." But as the fleet's sensors came online, confusion spread across alien faces throughout the Armada. Where they expected to find massive defense platforms and bristling fortress stations, there was only a small research facility floating peacefully near a bright blue star. The structure looked more like a university campus than a military installation. Solar panels glinted in the starlight, and gentle navigation beacons welcomed approaching ships rather than warning them away. There were no weapon emplacements, no shield generators, no signs of military preparation whatsoever. "Sir," the Krivak tactical officer clicked nervously, "I'm detecting only one human life sign aboard that station." Before Admiral Zothmar could respond, their communications array crackled to life with an enthusiastic human voice. "Welcome to the Kepler Observatory. Dr. Yu Dae-hyun's cheerful greeting echoed across the bridge. "My name is Dae-hyun, and I'm the chief astrophysicist here. We've been monitoring your fleet's approach for the past 3 days. Absolutely fascinating propulsion signatures you've got there." The alien command crew stared at their screens in bewilderment. On the view screen, a middle-aged human in a wrinkled lab coat waved enthusiastically at their fleet of millions of warships as if they were old friends arriving for a visit. "Your FTL drive configurations are remarkable," Dae-hyun continued, apparently oblivious to the fact that he was addressing an invasion force. "I'm reading some incredible energy patterns that I'd love to discuss with your engineering teams. Would anyone like some coffee while we chat? I just made a fresh pot, and I have some excellent pastries from the hydroponic gardens." Admiral Zothmar's forearms twitched in confusion. "Is this some kind of psychological warfare technique?" he muttered to his staff. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "they're broadcasting tourist information about local stellar phenomena and cooking recipes. Someone named Kim Ji-woo wants to share her grandmother's kimchi recipe with our new galactic friends." The Nilari Fleet Commander's plasma form flickered with uncertainty. "Admiral, perhaps this is an elaborate trap. The humans are known for their cunning." But as the minutes passed and Dr. Yu continued his cheerful commentary about neutron star formations and pulsar frequencies, it became clear that this wasn't a trap. It was just genuine, inexplicable human friendliness in the face of overwhelming military force. The invasion fleet pressed onward, leaving the confused astrophysicist still broadcasting dinner invitations to any aliens who wanted to stay for his famous bulgogi barbecue. When they reached New Jeju, the agricultural colony that intelligence reports had identified as a strategic target, the aliens expected to find desperate human defenders making a last stand. Instead, they found empty farms with neat signs posted everywhere. "Welcome, galactic visitors." The signs read in dozens of alien languages. "Colony evacuation complete. Please enjoy your stay. For assistance, activate any public comm terminal." Krivac dropships landed in perfectly maintained fields where robotic harvesters continued their work, completely ignoring the arrival of alien warriors. The massive insectoid soldiers emerged from their transports expecting battle, but found only the gentle hum of automated farming equipment and the smell of ripening vegetables. A cheerful holographic projection materialized as soon as the first Krivac warrior stepped onto the main platform. The human-shaped figure wore a simple blue uniform and had the kind of friendly smile that made it impossible to feel threatened. "Hello there. I'm Jin, your automated colony guide," the AI announced brightly. "Governor Choi Soo-jin sends her sincere apologies for not being here to greet you personally, but she's currently coordinating the annual Harvest Festival on New Busan. She did want me to make sure you're comfortable during your visit." The Krivac Queen's translator buzzed with confusion as she tried to process this unexpected greeting. "The main cafeteria is located on level 3 of the administrative building," Jin continued helpfully. "We have a variety of meal options including vegetarian, carnivorous and energy-based nutrition for our plasma form friends. The recreational facilities are open 24 hours, and we have several interesting museums showcasing local agricultural history." A massive Krivac warrior, bred specifically for close combat and trained to tear through enemy lines, found himself politely stepping around a small robot that was harvesting rice. The machine beeped apologetically and adjusted its path to avoid the alien's feet. "Oh, and please do mind the automated farming equipment," Jin added. "They're wonderful little machines, but they don't recognize military transponders, so they might get confused if you're carrying weapons. Just give them a gentle push if they're in your way. They're quite friendly once you get to know them." Within hours, the most fearsome invasion force in galactic history found themselves awkwardly navigating around farming robots, trying to figure out how to conquer a territory that was apparently already running itself and seemed genuinely happy to have visitors. Krivac warriors stood in empty community centers, reading bulletin boards about pottery classes and bookie clubs. Nilari commanders attempted to secure strategic locations, only to discover that the most important building on the colony was a library filled with agricultural research and poetry collections. The Veltar tried to establish command protocols, but their crystalline war minds kept getting distracted by the fascinating efficiency of the automated systems. Everything worked perfectly without any supervision. Irrigation systems, harvesting, robots, food processing plants, even the cheerful AI guide who seemed genuinely concerned about everyone's comfort. By evening, confused alien soldiers were sitting in the colony's cafeteria, eating surprisingly good meals prepared by automated systems, while Jin provided helpful commentary about local weather patterns and suggested scenic walking routes through the agricultural districts. The invasion was going exactly as planned, except nobody could figure out what they had actually conquered. Captain Rim Tae-kyung sat in his worn leather chair, sipping cold coffee from a ceramic mug that had seen better days. Around him, the bridge of the Incheon Harmony looked like it belonged in a scrapyard rather than active service. Exposed wiring hung from ceiling panels, the main view screen flickered occasionally, and half the control consoles appeared to be held together with industrial tape. For 3 weeks, alien forces had been pushing deeper into human space, and Tae-kyung had been forced to watch his cargo freighter get scanned, dismissed, and ignored by invasion fleets that saw it as nothing more than space junk. "Captain," his communications officer, Lieutenant Nam Ji-hoon, looked up from his station. "We're receiving priority authorization from Fleet Command. Full declassification protocols are now active." Tae-kyung's tired expression shifted into something that might have been a smile. "Finally, I was getting tired of pretending to haul fertilizer." He stood up and walked to the central command console. "Computer, declassify all defensive systems. Authorization Tae-kyung 77 Alpha. Defensive." "Systems declassified," the ship's AI responded in a pleasant female voice. "Shall I also remove cosmetic damage overlay?" "Everything," Tae-kyung confirmed. "Time to stop playing dress-up." What happened next would have been impossible to believe if Admiral Zothmar hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes. The Incheon Harmony began to transform, but not in any mechanical way the aliens understood. The rusted hull plates didn't move or shift. They simply stopped being there, revealing the ship's true nature like a holographic illusion dissolving. The vessel that emerged was breathtaking. Where there had been a battered cargo hauler, now floated something that looked like it was built from crystallized starlight. The hull seemed to be made of some impossible material that absorbed and reflected light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Energy coursed along its surface in flowing rivers of blue and gold, but it wasn't just beautiful, it was terrifying. The ship moved with fluid grace that no artificial construct should possess, responding to its captain's thoughts as much as his commands. When it changed direction, it didn't turn like a normal spacecraft. It simply existed in a new location, as if the universe had rearranged itself around it. "Impossible," Admiral Zothmar whispered, as his sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "That level of technology, it shouldn't exist." Similar transformations were happening across human space. The primitive mining vessels revealed themselves as mobile factories capable of reshaping matter at the molecular level. The defenseless research stations unfolded like technological flowers, displaying capabilities that made alien science look like cave paintings. Dr. Yu Dae-hyun's cheerful voice crackled across the communication channels from his observatory. "Oh my, you're getting quite the show now, aren't you? I do hope you're recording this data. The energy signatures alone should keep your physicists busy for decades." The human ships didn't just reveal advanced technology, they revealed something that challenged everything the aliens thought they knew about the universe. These weren't machines in any sense the galaxy understood. They were something new, something that existed at the intersection of technology and art, engineering and poetry. "Sir," the Krivak science officer's voice shook with fear, "their manufacturing capabilities are reading as infinite. According to our sensors, they could build our entire invasion fleet in less than an hour. But that's not the terrifying part." "What's the terrifying part?" Zothmar demanded. "They're not weapons platforms, sir. They're research vessels, exploration ships. What we're seeing is their civilian technology." Meanwhile, on the occupied worlds, the aliens were discovering that conquering human territory came with unexpected complications. Director Song Hee-jin, Arrived at New Jeju aboard what looked like a simple transport ship, but her medical teams carried equipment that seemed to work miracles. A Krivak warrior lay dying in the colony's medical center, his exoskeleton shattered by debris from a landing. Mishap! His compound eyes were dimming as his life force ebbed away. According to Krivak biology, he had perhaps minutes to live. Nurse Yang Yun-soo knelt beside him, her scanner already analyzing his injuries. "Don't worry," she said softly. "We'll have—" "You fixed up in no time." The dying warrior tried to speak, but only managed a weak clicking sound. Yang Yun-soo activated her medical unit, a device no larger than a briefcase that somehow contained more healing power than most alien hospital ships. Light enveloped the Krivak warrior, but it wasn't harsh or clinical. It felt warm, almost alive. His broken shell began to mend itself, growing new segments that were somehow stronger than the original. Internal organs that had been crushed started regenerating, but not just healing, improving. "How?" the warrior gasped as strength returned to his limbs. "This is impossible. Krivak biology doesn't regenerate major injuries." "It does now," Yang Yun-soo smiled. "We've learned a lot about biology over the past 3,000 years. Turns out most species have incredible healing potential that just needs the right encouragement." The warrior sat up, flexing limbs that should have been destroyed. His new shell segments gleamed with health, and he felt stronger than he had in years. "But why? Why heal your enemy?" "Because you're not our enemy," Yang Yun-soo replied, helping him to his feet. "You're just confused. It happens to everyone sometimes." Across the colony, similar scenes were playing out. Nalari soldiers who had been injured in equipment malfunctions found their plasma forms stabilized and purified. Veltar warriors discovered that human technology could heal even their crystalline structures, removing centuries of accumulated damage. The most disturbing part for the invasion forces wasn't the advanced technology or the impossible healing capabilities. It was the humans' attitude. They weren't acting like a conquered people or a superior force claiming victory. They were acting like concerned neighbors, helping friends who had gotten into trouble. 3,000 years of practice, Yang Yun-soo had said, and those words echoed through alien minds across the occupied territories. 3,000 years of learning to build instead of destroy, to heal instead of harm, to grow instead of conquer. The Huo galaxy was beginning to understand that they hadn't declared war on humanity. They had accidentally asked for help from the most advanced civilization in the universe. A civilization that had moved so far beyond conflict that they saw invasion fleets as lost children who needed guidance home, and that realization was more terrifying than any weapon could ever be. Admiral Kim Hana sat in her comfortable chair, overlooking the Seoul Orbital Command Center, watching the morning sunlight dance across Earth's atmosphere through the massive transparent windows. For 3 weeks, she had observed the galactic invasion with the patient amusement of someone watching children play with toys they didn't understand. Her tea had grown cold during the morning briefings, reports flooding in from across human space about confused alien forces trying to figure out what they had actually conquered. The situation had moved beyond amusing into something that required gentle correction. "Commander Lee," she called to her aide, who was reviewing the latest reports from New Jeju. "I think we've been polite long enough. Please ask our guests to power down their weapon systems." Commander Lee Dong-wook looked up from his tablet, where he had been reading about Krivak warriors attempting to interrogate farming robots. "Yes, Admiral. Should I use the standard maintenance override protocols?" "The gentle one," Hana emphasized, setting down her ceramic teacup with a soft clink. "We don't want to embarrass them more than necessary. They're already confused enough." Lee's fingers danced across his console, accessing systems that most of the galaxy didn't even know existed. "Initiating galaxy-wide maintenance shutdown. All alien vessels will experience controlled system deactivation in 3, 2, 1. Now, what happened next occurred simultaneously across millions of light-years. Every alien warship, from the massive hegemony dreadnoughts to the smallest Krivak fighters, simply stopped working. Not destroyed, not damaged, just turned off like someone had flipped a switch. Admiral Zothmar was in the middle of planning his next assault when every system on his flagship went dark, Emergency lighting kicked in. Life support continued. Humming, but weapons, engines, communications, and navigation systems became as responsive as decorative sculptures. "What's happening?" he roared, but his tactical officers were just as bewildered. Their instruments showed no signs of attack, no energy weapons, no hostile actions at all. Their ships had simply decided to take a nap. Within minutes, a cheerful, holographic projection materialized on his bridge. A middle-aged human woman in a neat blue uniform smiled at the alien command crew with the kind of professional friendliness usually reserved for customer service representatives. "Hello there. My name is Director Kang Bora from the Diplomatic Engineering Corps," she announced brightly. "I understand you've been having some technical difficulties with your fleet. Don't worry. We've taken the liberty of beginning immediate repairs and upgrades to all your systems." Zothmar's four arms gestured wildly at his dead control panels. "What have you done to our ships?" "Oh, just some routine maintenance," Bora replied, as if disabling millions of warships was the most natural thing in the world. "We noticed your technology was several thousand years out of date, so we thought we'd help modernize things while our medical teams tend to your crews. Think of it as a welcome gift." Across the invasion fleet, confused alien warriors found themselves greeted by helpful human engineers who seemed genuinely excited to meet them. The humans didn't act like conquerors or enemies. They behaved like enthusiastic teachers who had just discovered particularly interesting students. "Your plasma containment systems are fascinating," Dr. Kim Soo-jin told a bewildered Nalari commander while her team upgraded his ship's energy cores. "We've made some improvements that should increase your efficiency by about 3,000%. You'll love the new fuel consumption rates." The Krivak found their hive mind communication networks enhanced beyond their wildest dreams. Human. Technicians had somehow made their ships more responsive, their weapons more precise, and their life support systems capable of supporting twice as many crew members in perfect comfort. But the real transformation wasn't technological. It was cultural. Within days, former alien warriors found themselves working alongside human engineers, learning not just about advanced technology, but about entirely different ways of thinking. Krivak warrior castes discovered that their natural coordination made them incredibly effective at managing automated farming systems. Their hive mind abilities, originally designed for war, turned out to be perfect for coordinating the complex logistics of feeding entire planets. The Nalari plasma forges, once used to create weapons of destruction, were converted into stellar healing stations capable of repairing damaged planets and restoring dead solar systems to life. Their mastery of energy manipulation became the foundation for technologies that could literally bring light to dark worlds. The mighty Veltar war mines found their crystalline intelligence perfectly suited for exploration and research. Their ability to process multiple dimensional calculations made them ideal partners for mapping unknown regions of space and discovering new forms of life. Even the proud hegemony fleet underwent transformation. Their massive dreadnoughts became mobile research stations and diplomatic vessels, carrying teams of scientists and cultural exchange specialists instead of weapons of war. The change wasn't forced or demanded. It simply happened naturally as the aliens discovered that building was more satisfying than destroying, that creating brought more joy than conquering, and that cooperation achieved results that violence never could. Ambassador Vexthal stood once again in the crystalline halls of the Galactic Council, but this time his four arms hung at his sides in a gesture of humble acceptance rather than aggressive proclamation. The same delegates who had cheered for war now listened in stunned silence. "Fellow beings," he began, his voice quiet and thoughtful, "I stand before you to announce that our war with humanity is over, not because we were defeated in battle, but because we have been adopted." The assembled aliens murmured in confusion, but Vexthal continued. "We declared war on beings so advanced that they saw our invasion as children playing with dangerous toys. They didn't destroy us. They helped us grow up." Back on Earth, Admiral Kim Hanna composed her final report on the conflict with characteristic brevity. Galactic invasion successfully resolved through applied competence and patient education. Former hostile forces now enrolled in Accelerated Civilization Development Program. All alien species showing remarkable progress in collaborative technologies and peaceful exploration. Casualty count, 0. Request permission to resume normal. Duty schedule and finish my morning tea. The galaxy had learned a profound truth that day. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been superior firepower or advanced technology, though they possessed both in abundance. Their ultimate strength lay in something far more powerful: the patient, terrifying competence that came from 3,000 years of choosing to build rather than destroy, to heal rather than harm, and to teach rather than conquer. The aliens had declared war on their teachers and discovered that the lesson would be delivered with the same gentle firmness that good teachers had always used, with enough authority to command respect and enough kindness to inspire growth. And across the galaxy, former enemies worked side by side with humans, learning not just how to build better ships or more efficient weapons, but how to build better civilizations and more peaceful futures. The end.